Where, oh where is Monty Bear? Singapore. Written by Belinda Trilogy and Rebecca Hamer. When we last met Monty Bear, he'd opened his magical book, and with an explosion of fireworks, Monty was transported to the twinkling star on the map. Where, oh where am I? Thought Monty Bear. He rubbed his eyes. Wherever this was, it was an amazing place. Monty Bear looked around curiously. The sights, sounds and smells all around him were so different from anything he knew. Monty took one last look at the book before he tucked it away. As if by magic, words started to appear on the page. It was a riddle, and Monty loved riddles. Find the waterfall from the king of the jungle tall. It stands with no feet, where land and sea do meet. Monty was excited, but he felt butterflies in his tummy too. He suddenly felt a long way from the warm comfort of his classroom. Monty knew what he had to do. He had to be a confident bear to find the answer to the riddle. He closed his eyes and took some deep belly breaths. 1, 2, 3. He felt much better. Well, here's some water, Monty thought. But what about the king of the jungle? If I'm going to solve this riddle, I'll have to explore. Monty soon found himself in an amazing forest of giant trees that seemed to burst through the clouds. Behind the trees, Monty saw the most incredible building. It was like a ship floating high up in the air. As Monty stepped into the shade of a giant glass dome, he heard a bell ring. An old man riding a rickshaw was passing by. Quick as a flash, Monty jumped on board, relieved to be out of the sun. Soon, the buildings all around him were even higher than the giant trees.
Welcome to Singapore. My name is Mr. Lim, but you can call me Uncle. What is your name?
My name is Monty Bear. I'm on my first real adventure, and I have to answer a riddle. Can you help me?
Sounds like fun.
Laughed Uncle.
Can. Let's go.
After a little while, the old man slowed down and stopped for a stretch. Monty jumped off, keen to look for clues. Nestled amongst the skyscrapers were rows of little food stalls under a lovely old roof. The air was filled with smoke and smells, and the strange pungent aroma of a sweet and stinky fruit. Monty wrinkled up his nose. Then he saw the most incredible treat. It was as big as his head. The stall owner handed it to him and called it an ice kachang. Remembering to be open-minded, Monty took a spoon in his paw and cautiously took a bite. It was delicious. This was turning out to be a tastier adventure than he'd hoped for.
Any luck with your reader?
Asked Uncle as he got back on the rickshaw. Not yet, Uncle, said Monty, licking ice and syrup off his paws. Can we try somewhere else?
Can. Let's try Chinatown,
suggested Uncle. As they turned up a narrow street, Monty spotted tourists everywhere. They were taking photos of temples and buying trinkets from the market stalls lining the road. It reminded him of pictures he'd seen in a book about China. There, In front of him was a wall of fish tanks. Could this be where the land and sea meet? But what about the king of the jungle and the waterfall? They were nowhere to be seen. No, thought Monty, this does not solve the riddle. Monty and Uncle continued on until they came to a very grand-looking hotel. It was all white, and there was a sweet smell of frangipanis in the air.
Can you hear that?
Asked Uncle. Monty could hear the sound of trickling water. Maybe this was the waterfall. Uncle asked the smartly dressed doorman if there was a waterfall inside, but unfortunately it was only a fountain. On they went, the old man whistling as they rode along. Soon Monty drifted off to sleep. When Monty awoke, he could smell exotic spices and honeyed sweets in the air. Ladies were strolling along wearing brightly coloured saris. Monty wondered if Uncle had ridden all the way to India whilst he'd slept. What an adventure this was turning out to be! However, there was no sign of the king of the jungle or the waterfall. Uncle stopped whistling and turned around.
I've been thinking about your riddle, and I have an idea.
He said with a wink. He pedalled hard until trees and jungle replaced the buildings.
The king of the jungle! It's a lion!
Laughed Uncle. Where can we see a lion? Asked Monty.
The zoo!
Exclaimed Uncle. Uncle and Monty had a great time at the zoo. Monty especially loved the orangutans swinging through the trees. But when they found the lion, there was no waterfall. And the lion definitely had feet. It was getting late, and there was still no answer to the riddle. Where now? Asked Monty.
I think we need to get up high for a better look,
replied Uncle. Soon they were looking up at the biggest wheel Monty had ever seen.
It's called the Singapore Flyer.
Uncle told him. Up in the capsule, Singapore was spread out beneath them like a map. Something white glinted in the late afternoon sun. What's that? Monty asked, pointing to the large statue at the edge of the bay.
It's called the Merlion,
replied Uncle, his eyes widening.
It's a statue of the lion's head on a fish tail with water coming out of its mouth. Why didn't I think of that before?
The riddle! Cried Monty as he pressed his shiny nose against the glass. The Merlion is the answer to the riddle! As Monty grabbed the book from his pocket, he turned to give Uncle a big high five and his best bear smile. Thank you, Uncle, for helping me on my adventure,
Welcome lah.
said Uncle with a grin. With the riddle solved, Monty opened his book. No longer was the gold star twinkling over Singapore. It had moved to another part of the map and was glowing brighter and brighter. Curiously, he turned the page. Where, oh where, is Monty Bear? We hope that you loved his adventure in Singapore. To see more of Monty Bear's adventures, just click on the links in the description below. And why not buy the book and read along?